Blast off.
Hello.
Welcome to the Shuttle podcast. I'm Gray.
And I'm Starsky.
And today we're talking about Black Mirror Bandersnatch. Now, it's a, I think, 2019 sort of, how'd you call it? Choose your own adventure film. It's a film, right? It's a short movie or whatever. But it's in the vein of like those old pick a page. You flip the pages between the book and you go to,
and you can kind of choose your own ending, and you have some type of influence in
like agency in how the story goes.
Yes, and that then evolved into games, and then that
now
is a movie.
Yeah,
we have the capability to pick options on Netflix now.
They did that. They took it. What's a little less talked about actually is that they did other shit. There's like a Man vs. Wild miniseries where you actually get to decide what Bear Grylls does, and like so if you fuck up, he dies and shit. Like he'll get eaten by a bear because you didn't. Okay, so like he would go along his journey. You pick like the setting.
Oh, and then you have to like skip to chapter number.
Well, no. It would be like, okay, so he would land in like a desert or in an Arctic area, whatever environment, and then he would go about his journey as he normally would. And as soon as you come across some sort of obstacle, like okay, here's like there's a giant crater here.
Yeah.
Do I like tackle it by going in and going across and going up, or do I like go around it?
Or around?
And you have to make these decisions. And if you make the wrong one, like for that, you probably wouldn't want to go down because if you don't have like rock climbing tools, you're gonna fucking fall and die.
Yes.
So shit like that, and that was fucking sick. Actually, I played that with a friend of mine, and it was like a good like drinking game.
I see.
It's pretty fucking fun. So people don't really talk about it, but there already is like more of it coming around. So I guess the first thing though, that's outside of it. Just the surface level of it is that the show tackles the idea of free will, and that not only are we deciding the story, like there's like a fourth wall break,
right? And there's like Black Mirror is obviously all there. Like there's always like a deep concept or deep thought behind what is actually depicted. Like it's supposed to like raise some awareness to certain technological creations that we're working on right now, mainly like artificial intelligence and stuff, but they all tackle sort of like a larger idea per episode. And this one, I think, has multiple ideas tied into it. One of them is obviously like the idea of simulation in a way. And then also the free will concept, like, do we really get to make our own choices, or are choices made by other people not as like transparent as like, do you go this way or that way, but like are there choices being made for us that we don't even know about?
Right. Or I mean also you could also go into like the genetic aspect of it and the biology side of it, that like so much of who you are and the thing that makes up the person who's making these decisions at the end of the day is a collection of like past experiences, that both like the genetic memory of your fucking parents and your grandparents and all this shit, your deepest ancestors and whatever, even all the way back to like being scared of wolves and being scared of things with big teeth and big,
because some kind of like programming that's happening over time.
And how much of that instinct, like consciousness is like a thing that it develops late. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like things can be aware and have instincts and be alive and breathe and have brains and eyes and eat and fuck and sleep, but not be conscious and not, again, necessarily be making their own choices outside of
I guess in that case, it will be called reproduction instead of fucking.
Right. Well, I mean, they're fucking. Some animals fuck, dude. We were just talking about koalas. Koalas fuck, dude. They rape each other, bro.
There's like penetration happening.
But it's hard. It's fucked up,
But then there's species that don't even penetrate.
What do you mean?
And that's where
like fish.
My definition
fish coming
of
on
fucking becomes reproduction.
I mean, that's just fucking from a fish's perspective. That's fish fucking. So like, if you ever get I guess that's a really fucked up way to say like artificial insemination. Like sometimes they'll take the egg out the woman and then take the dude's cum and put it together. That's fish fucking right there, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's artificial insemination.
It's true.
But in the streets we call that fish fucking, bro.
Yeah.
I fish fucked the shit out of this
fishing,
woman, bro.
bro.
My wife, bro.
Fishing.
We're trying to get, fish fucked the shit out of my wife. We're trying to have some fucking baby, some roe.
No, bro.
I came all over the roe.
From catfish to fish fuck, bro.
If that isn't like the perfect metaphor for life.
Modern life, bro.
Everyone's just getting fish fucked nowadays, man. But all right, so let me ask you now. So how much do you attribute like everything you do from the day to day? How much do you attribute to that, to like an actual sense of agency that you have and an actual like, again, conscious thought choice that's independent of yours and not due to some sort of outside environmental influence? How much? What's the percent? What's the
Obviously,
number?
I would love to think that I was in charge of all the decisions that I've made, but that would be super naive. Obviously, like you said before, like you don't develop your consciousness or your ability to think about your actions until you're like a certain age. So everything prior to that point has already been like sort of like decided for you,
right?
Or whatever standard or ways that we've made that babies should be like, raised in this particular way. And that could be biological, or
right? Nature and nurture both playing a part. Your parents and your
then at a certain point, you start to think, and you are conscious of yourself, and you're like, oh, I can like, when I do this I start sweating.
Right,
and when I do this, I bleed. Like that, but that's still so infantile in your developing conscious that I don't even think that's where I started making my own decisions. And I don't even think, like right now I'm 24 years old, and I don't even think I started making really making my own decisions at like 13, 14.
Right, and even then, making your own decisions, I mean, I knew you when you were 14, and there was definitely a limited decision making. I'm sorry, I'm on our wires. For the people who are watching, I don't want to destroy our wires, but it's probably going to happen anyway. I destroy everything. And it's rough because it just, when you factor in that, then you factor in the fact that there is like outside influence completely independent of like your parents. There's like, there's like always authority structures,
indirect influence and stuff.
shit like that. Things in the environment. Something as small as like the weather one day could influence, you know what I mean? What you do.
It has always, like just like when you look at what is it called, circadian rhythm and shit, like that's affecting everybody because this larger thing. Like that's a choice that we're not able to make. Like we can't just say, okay, I don't want to sleep for like 48 days. Right. I mean, you could, but you probably wouldn't survive.
You'd go through that.
Like that's something that we have to do. So I would put. I don't know if I put that in the same category as like being in charge of my actions, because that's just like something that we couldn't survive on.
I mean, the point is there's always an outside influence. So
but we're talking about like these stupid little moments in life. Like in Bandersnatch, it was like, which music do you choose? Like when he was sitting on the bus, it was like, do you want to listen to this album or that album? And then whichever album you picked had some type of consequence in the story as it developed. Okay,
you know what that takes me to is that, okay, so what about this? I think one of my favorite parts of the movie is I think what everyone's favorite part of the movie probably is when it's like out of nowhere, it goes from like, okay, you could, again, like mundane decisions to out of nowhere, it's talk it out or like fight to the death out of nowhere with like in the middle of the office with this lady.
Yeah.
And if you decide that choice, like they straight up have like a crazy, ridiculous, over the top action scene.
Right.
And with that's one of the few times it really feels like you really have agency over the movie. And
right.
It's also one of the few, because outside of really mundane shit, you're not really affecting shit maybe as much as you would like. If you have control over something, you want to be able to do something ridiculous like that.
And then there were certain choices, and they would basically cause in either the main character dying or something happening that you wouldn't be able to set back. So it would be like, oh, you're going to get set back to this particular point. Remember that?
Yeah.
So
it's like very much like one of those old school video games. Kind of like what's that game called? A Knight's Tale or something like that. It's the same thing where it's kind of like it's just a 2D animation, and you kind of like input shit to make him do certain things. I fucking forget what it's called, but someone will know.
But that goes into the topic of free will now.
What do you think, man? You think we have it? Because I have a very sort of pessimistic point of view, I think, on that.
Yeah, so let's hear it. This is something that I don't really think about much, and I think we've talked about this before, but it's like I don't want to really spend any like mental energy on it because like does it matter if I make my own choices or not as long as it feels like I do?
Right. Well, yeah. And again, I agree with you, but I've always been of the thought, it's like hard for me to accept sometimes that like, well, okay, but like how far does that go? I mean, like,
Yeah.
Again, by that same logic, like, would you like, I mean, you're totally cool with the idea of like, I mean, what if you were in a coma? Mm-hmm. You don't know any better. It's hard to understand what that actually is like from the perspective of the person, but you're definitely not awake. You're not conscious. You're just like not there. Is that okay? You don't know any different though, right? So is that a state of, or is that a favorable state versus just being here in objective reality and lucid and aware?
Well, is that what it would mean though? Like, are you like, would that be the change of being in a coma to being like in reality versus you knowing that you're making your own choices or not? Is that like an equal change?
It's breaking out of the matrix. Either way,
but where would you end up? Like, what would happen?
Well, here's the thing. I am similar to you in the sense that I like so much is like I know I can't affect it, so I'm not gonna let it like wear down on me. Yeah. But I am totally, I think at this point, almost at peace with the fact that I'm pretty sure that free wills and like even consciousness is just kind of an illusion, and it's just very, very, very complicated series of again, our brains are just a different level and a different thing than a lot of most other things, you know, and we just have more wires. We have more, again, those are the same instinctual things that everything has. We just have more of them. And eventually when you have such an abundance, it becomes a very complicated thing to the point where it starts to feel like there's something more special to it than there actually is.
Yeah.
But you're right. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter, but that is what it is.
Because this is a question that is one of those questions like, will we ever be able to answer it? That people used to have for ages about like, you know, that's like why some people...
What's the God shit? God gave us free will. That's what makes us different from everything else. That's why we're his children.
And like, but what I'm trying to say is like, maybe this is just something that we don't understand yet. Just like we used to not understand why we were here. Or we still don't, but like how got here and what evolution and shit like that. Like people used to think that God
just made us appear.
Yeah.
But I mean even then
people
now,
still do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not bashing anything, but maybe free will and this concept is just something that we just don't know yet.
Well, okay, but here's the thing.
It could go
that's
either
the thing,
way.
bro. I know you're like a man of like you're not like obviously professionally you're not like a scientist, but I know you have an interest in it and shit like that. Like that's part of why we started the podcast and shit. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you're gonna exist like that, then you have to understand that, especially with like quantum physics and all this real interesting shit that we like to look at, is that the whole thing is about what we know could always be wrong, and that's what you're always trying to do is prove the next guy wrong.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. New discoveries that change everything. And we're literally every day, we're just one thing away from changing our whole picture. Like, again, we're one new theory of relativity or new Newton's law, one new just discovery or thought process to just change everything.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And with that, you have to accept the fact that, like, and then looking at things objectively with, like you said, science and evolution and all these things, and that we are literally the result of hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions of years of evolution, right?
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense that we're probably just, again, we came from nothing. Mm-hmm. We're probably still nothing. We're a very complex nothing.
Yeah. Where are you going
with this? Yeah. That you, like, you try not to think about it, but at the same time, I feel like that's contradictory, because this is the exact kind of thing you would think about.
Yeah.
The idea that, you know, or ideas such as free will actually not being a real thing.
Right.
That's just as interesting a discovery
I guess
as,
really what it,
you know, aliens, bro.
Sure. But I guess what I find less, like why I spent less attention to that is because it's like, I like the physics where it's been proven and there's equations that show like exactly, like I can do it myself. Basically.
Well, there are a lot of books about this. I read that book by Julian, what the fuck his name is. But the bicameral mind I was telling you about, that's what that whole thing is about. And that, like...
Yeah. Well, maybe I just haven't, like...
dug into it enough, bro. I'm telling you, man.
free will and all that.
See,
stuff.
but I'm telling you, that's what's fucked up, man. Because I've tried. Again, I don't know. I'm not sitting here after like I've read like journals and volumes, but I've read a couple things, and it all sort of points to that like odds are, free will as we describe it is not really a thing, you know. But again, if there's this complicated, just crazy, like infinitely complicated map of neurons and all these synapses firing at all times and all these different fucking just waves of electrical current in different directions and all this shit. I think that's just as special by nature, even if it doesn't equate to a fully autonomous thing that like is, because again, you also have to think about what the fuck is free will? How can something be truly free and make decisions without, like it has to be influenced by something. If it exists in a world where other things exist and can affect it the same way you can put matter into space and it's affected by gravitational waves. Yeah. When you introduce yourself to somebody, you change their life, right? Just by off nature, or you bump into someone in the street and keep walking. Like that's a shift. You know what I mean? I don't see what's less special about the idea that like all that shit being a product of just, again, millions of years in a perfect way, unlike anything else. And even though you are controlled in a way. You're controlled it's still more free than like a jaguar or a snail or a worm or a fucking microbe or some shit like that. You know what I mean? And nothing can be truly free. Otherwise, I'd have to exist by nothingness, inside nothingness, with nothing to affect it, in a vacuum.
Right.
You're supposed to play devil's advocate. But you're probably just like, I don't even know what he's saying right now.
No, it feels like you're just trying to convince me to start believing in free will.
No,
and not believing in free, or like
understanding the beauty of it not existing in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay.
Just think about it, bro.
But so do you also believe that little choices like deciding on which music you're gonna play is something predetermined?
I want to say like no, right?
Yeah.
And
so you're talking about more of like larger like events and like things that
because even small
driven
things like
by
that, bro.
evolution and
because even what music you choose, like all right, for right now maybe it's different for somebody, but okay, like when you were 10, what music you listened to was determined quite a bit by what was around you, whether it was because you were rebelling to what's around you or because you were like giving into it and like kind of going, listening to what your parents listen to or whatever it may be. No matter what perspective you took from it, either way you were affected by it. And back then before Spotify, it was about what records did you have? What did the iPod that your mom had? What songs did she have on her iPod? You know what I mean? Did you have enough internet, like fucking dial up to go on YouTube and watch some shit? Like that totally affected what you listen to. And now as an adult, like you are who you are. Yeah. And you listen to what you want, but the ground that you built that on, your foundation was everything around you.
So it stops at a certain point?
I don't know if it... I don't think it definitely doesn't stop, right? But probably, it probably is less... It's more subconscious now and less like overt. Because at first, it's again, you were literally affected by what's there. Yeah. In the end, it's more about how those things that were there change your psyche and your subconscious. Because isn't like 95% of shit subconscious and like 5% is conscious? Isn't that what they say or something like that?
I don't know.
You should Google that. Too bad we don't have anything to Google with.
Old school.
Yeah. I probably have a phone. I'm probably lying. Yeah, it's something crazy like that, bro. And that's that again, I don't know how, I guess.
It's such a hard topic to tackle, bro. And we can go on for hours talking about it.
It's just, I think it's rough it's shitty to think about. Yeah.
But I think, what we should talk more about is like, because Bandersnatch is really about like us. We were in control. That is an outside, like a physical force, a feasible force that controlled whether it was like a simulation or whatever that they tried to make it. Do you think that there's somebody or a group of people like pulling the strings, not in the because we can really easily go into like, oh, the government, and like blah, but like more like
esoterically, like in the law. Yeah. So here's what I mean. That goes so much into like, again, personal belief systems, I guess. Why don't you answer it first? What do you think? Actually, why don't you set the stage? I'm curious.
All right. I definitely don't think so.
Yeah, at all.
Well, I agree with you to the degree that you as an individual are brought up without like you making conscious choices, obviously, to the point until the point that you can. Like right now, I'm in full like control over myself, except for the larger natural forces that I have to
Adhere to.
adhere to. But I don't think that there is a script or that there's these like massive changes that have to be made by somebody else or something else.
See, I don't know how much it is like a somebody, but
Yeah.
again, I don't know, before you don't want to go too much to the government. I also don't want to go too much, like, I guess, too much like God and religion and talk about that, but it's hard not to. And I think I think odds are, if you look at it, man, everything kind of functions as like on a micro scale, and the bigger and bigger you get all the way to like the macro, it's all like an organism.
Yeah.
And everything there's a reason to it. As much of it looks like chaos when you're like kind of too close up, the further and further you get away from something, the more you realize how much all the pieces fit. And I think that, I don't know if it's scripted, but again, are your biological functions scripted? Well, no. Like it's scripted that your blood will flow and your heart will pump and your lungs will take in air and your white blood cells will fight off viruses and your antibodies will blah blah and your gut biome will do this. Like they have set roles that they play, but again, depending on outside influence, what viruses come in and what bacteria has to fight off, and what your genetically, all these things, all these things.
I guess
I think it's the same
what
thing.
I'm having a hard time explaining is like the decision aspect. It's like some of these things is like, this is just the way it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
I think this for human life is just a very complicated version of the same thing. Is like, it's just the way it is.
Right.
Like, again.
But that also means that it couldn't go any other way.
Well, no, because
if something is the way it is,
how many ways can one person's, like, if they didn't do anything and they were just static and you just burned out people and they didn't have a life and you just did it for a year, every person that is going to be in a totally different situation with different, one's going to be born with these defects, one's going to grow up to be this tall, one's going to, without ever doing anything in their life. That's just what it is, and that's who they are.
Right.
And then the minute you start introducing like something as complicated as like modern human life, where there's that many like variables at play, it gets more complicated, but it's still the same thing. And that's what it is. And there's a lot of outcomes possible. Like again, just someone could be born tall, short, fat, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. There's a lot of ways it could grow out, but it's still just fucking how it is. And it's rough, bro. Again, it sounds pessimistic, but I don't think it is, because again, it's inherent. It's just complicated. It's just there's so much that it's just as special, bro. And like you said, if you don't know the difference, who cares?
Yeah.
They're gonna know the difference of that.
What do you think about just like the idea of maybe like media transforming into something that's more audience driven, like engaging and shit like that?
I felt like it was it feels like a super early step. You know what I mean? You hear me?
Do you think it's always going to be this novelty thing? Or is it going to become mainstream and like, that's just the way movies and TV shows are going to end up being?
Right. I think that will be a novelty, where it's so much as like, there's two text driven prompts that you could choose from. And it's probably like setting the stage for something way more complicated. I would imagine that kind of shit, and then VR, that's probably where everything's going to go. And you're making decisions, but it'll, again, more complicated than just that. You'll literally be able to like decide where you go. It's like, you ever done one of those virtual reality rides?
Yeah.
Those are, again, it's the same. Again, now imagine that on a smaller scale, some goggles on, and you're like, what if you were in an episode of Friends?
Right.
Like, you get to be in.
I think it would be cool if like technology develops so far that we could actually like actually partake in the dialogue of
that's where it feels. Yeah, eventually, right?
And like interact with characters and shit like that.
See, because that's why deepfakes would be cool, because now you don't need an actor to like infinitely do every possible scenario.
Right.
You just need to have enough of them footage already to just from there simulate it, make a perfect CGI version of every your favorite
CGI
actor.
Is
incredible,
developing so fast.
So they just program them to be able to react in every way that they have in every movie they've ever been in, everything, and just work the same way they made fucking Rogan talk about fucking monkeys or whatever the hell and shit. And like the same way they made
and Leia, like having Princess
Steve
Leia
Buscemi was
but like
Jennifer Lawrence.
You know, like Princess Leia in fucking Rogue One still looked CGI to me.
Yeah,
but,
like the
but look
uncanny.
how far we've come from like 10 years ago.
Her and Tarkin
bro.
were pretty good, I thought.
It was the Matrix Revolutions 10 years ago.
Probably
remember that fucking
2007.
rubbery looking ass Neo, and now we have like people, like actual people.
Thanos is fucking crazy. I'll give him that. Fuck Disney, man. We're gonna get. I should not have said that so early in my career.
Set a good precedent.
I love you, Disney. Send me I'll sell out so fast. Bro, it's 2020, baby.
Put me in the new Avengers.
That ass, bro. Let me be young Thor. Let me take the hammer from Natalie Portman. Both as a euphemism. Well, let me give her the hammer and take it from her.
Natalie Portman was my first ever like celebrity crush, bro.
Did you see Your Highness?
No.
It's a James Franco movie and Danny McBride. And she's in it. It's like a comedy that's like a middle ages.
I feel like I have seen this, bro.
And she like wears a thong at one point, and it's like pretty cool. It's probably not her. It's probably a butt double.
Nah, she would totally do that, bro.
Nah, I know her.
It's Nat free will, bro. It's her.
Nat would totally do that shit. It's free will. She made the fucking choice. I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses for actresses.
I think the next thing that's gonna come is like a full show, or like a movie, like directed by fucking like
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
It's gonna
like James Cameron would totally do that.
You just you do a
He's
baby
always
steps.
on that new technology shit.
You start with two choices.
Yeah.
Then you go maybe up to like 4. And then you figure out a way where it's not like a choice on screen. There's something more, and again, and now you're maybe more interacting with it like a video game a little bit more, where you're actually there. And then from there, you take it to, and it goes how you want it to go. And maybe there's a set, number, but even if there's like 100,000 ways it could play out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's pretty incredible. And every you and your friend saw the same movie, but it played out totally differently. What did you say when Robert De Niro said this?
Right,
I told him this, and then I punched him in the dick, bro, straight up.
Damn, I want to see the movie again, bro. What choices did you make? You gotta compare choices like fucking homework and shit. Yeah, that'd be crazy. What other
imagine everything would be the replay value of a movie.
Yeah,
is now fucking infinite.
That's definitely true. I watch it at least.
And now
twice,
imagine, because all those, even a bad one of those things would be entertaining as fuck. Think about how once you figure out the formula, right? That's what Disney does right now, right? And all these, they figured out the formula of Marvel movies and they pump them to boom, 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 boom.
What do you think?
One after the other.
What other mediums do you think this would translate well? So now we've done books, obviously, and comic books have used it, and video games and movies.
Well, video games by definition are what that is. It's like the super,
Where else do you see this going?
I mean, where else could it go, right?
Yeah.
Can't go to like music. It already kind of does. It's like, Twitter influences what Warner Brothers decides the next Taylor Swift album's going to sound like.
Yeah. It's just on a larger scale with a larger group of people making one decision,
Exactly. Again, what else are you going to do? Is going to be some sort of like, okay, Kanye, record a funk album, a rock album,
right?
Your regular kind of hip hop type deal, an old school type album, a jazz album.
Because you don't want to stop music halfway through a song and be like, do you want
a bridge or a solo?
That'd be kind of cool.
Do you want to have a weird EDM switch? Okay. Yeah. Do you want it to
some shit like that?
Do you want 4 minutes of
interactive music
of cats meowing? Just for 4 minutes.
Run the Jewels, that cat version or whatever it's called.
Meow the
Jewels.
Is that what it was called? I can't remember. It was something not that clever. It was pretty fun though. I listened to it.
Yeah.
I can't listen to the whole thing straight.
I don't know. I feel like maybe some type of weird experimental artist is gonna do some shit like that.
Choose your next another verse.
I don't know how they would do that. Was that
you would have
doorbell? No, right?
I don't think so. It sounded like it was outside.
Did you hear that? It was outside.
It was outside.
Oh.
We have our
Was that predetermined to
on-set
happen?
technician and my girlfriend over there. Did you all hear that? Did you want someone who was watching this decided to make that happen?
Yeah.
They chose. See, it's traffic now.
Now they're just playing with
I
us.
hope you guys don't hear that. If you do, we're so fucking sorry, God. It wasn't our choice. This is not our free will.
Damn, I feel like this conversation went real deep into like
A lot of shit it
like
didn't have to go
our
into.
differences about real fucking free will and shit.
I gotta say though, again, it's sum it up though. You know what? I have to say we talked about it a lot, but I don't know if I could after that even. What is your point of view?
Yeah.
So yeah, you said it doesn't matter.
What? Yeah. On
You don't
free
have an
will.
opinion though, whether or not it's there.
On free will. No. I definitely. You've convinced me of a few things that I just never really, like I said before, like I never spent much time thinking about free
Right.
will. I know what it is, and I know its general idea, but to me it was always like, just like the same question is like, oh, are we in a simulation? Like, sure, we could
Maybe,
be,
probably.
and then I just kind of just want to live my life still.
Right.
And that would be a different. I was watching The Matrix, like rewatching it with my girlfriend who had never seen it before, and I was like, would you take the fucking whichever
The
color
blue pill,
the
red
blue
pill.
pill or the red pill? And she was like, I don't know, and I was like, I would, like,
Take the blue pill
yeah, bro.
and just stay in.
No, the red pill.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The red, I would want to be behind, but that to me is different than like knowing whether or not we're in a simulation or if we have free will. Like those don't seem as
Well, that's what the Matrix is, bro. It's a simulation. It's not about so much does it exist. The Matrix is asking you if you had the opportunity to go behind it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That already answered that it is a simulation. The answer is there. You already have that. Answer.
Yeah.
So again, it's rough though. It does tell a lot about a person. I mean, again, and I think most people would like try to be like, yeah, the red pill, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people would kind of in the moment be like, I don't know, because uncertainty is the scariest thing of all. The unknown is the scariest thing of all.
Yeah.
So to be like, okay,
Yeah, would you take any pill that anybody ever gave you if you don't know what it actually does?
if like some fucking weird dude in a trench coat
Like
and
a
glasses
leather
that somehow weren't falling off his face,
legs.
no legs on the glasses, bro.
Could you trust somebody with no legs on their glasses?
Yo, no knees or anything. Like, what the fuck, bro? The shit. I've actually seen a pair of the ones that like it's like a spring loaded thing and it like clings onto your nose. And one, it doesn't work, and two, it hurts, bro, when it does stay, and then just slowly slides up your fucking face and then squeezes
like,
you, pitches your skin and then falls over like a fucking growth, bro. like a cyst. That's what my cysts do.
Yes.
I got one. I got one on the back of my neck. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's fucked up. I feel like a lot of these, conversations tend to end like it's fucked up, but at the same time,
ass glasses.
it's type lit.
Yeah. No, it's cool because like I really want more people to think about it.
Yeah,
because like,
and it's so fucking fun to think about, man.
Yeah.
And it's great that
I feel like we all just spent less time thinking about shit like that.
Yeah,
because we're
worried about everything, all the bullshit.
We're not only just worried about bullshit. We're just like we're distracted. Like we can pull out our phones and play a game.
Yeah,
like so
mindless,
fast.
Yeah,
like once, like I don't know. I mean, I'm try to meditate every day, but meditation is all about not thinking so much. So besides that, it's like when is my brain ever by itself thinking about questions? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I think we all have to take the time. I think that's a good way to end this. That's the moral, I think, of not today, but every episode and everything. You should always spread that message. We should think more. You should be more conscious, be more thankful and present and aware of the world you're in. Because even if you don't have any fucking free will, it's still the most fascinating goddamn thing it is. Yeah. And it's because it is all there is. You want to talk about what infinity is? It's fucking everything. Yeah. And if you don't think there's some interesting shit in infinity, then that's some other things.
And to the people who enjoyed Bandersnatch but never really thought about the larger meaning of it, like that's another reason why this podcast I think is so cool. And what we try to do is show that you could have this really cool piece of art, but there's so much that you can extrapolate from that.
Right.
Like we stop having conversations
about movies,
about
television.
Yeah, and we talk about movies just like we do with everything. We rate it. You know, we say, oh, it's good, it's not good, but like we don't stop and really talk about anything anymore. I think that's another reason why everything is just kind of like dying a little bit.
Yeah, humanity, man, it's an outdated thing. Well, on that kind of sad note, if you despite the fact that you want to slit your wrist right now, if you enjoyed this, you should follow us. You could find me at No NASA NYC or just No NASA on Instagram and basically everywhere.
And you can find me at Daytona Starsky on any social media and listen to our music.
Yeah, like
let us know if you have a cool
topic or movie
or TV show that might be on a
album.
Sort of lighter spirit and where we can like actually have some fun instead of
because I think now we're just gonna go
all
cry.
These fucking esoteric questions, but I'm
gonna go cry. You know what I mean, you gotta be sensitive, bro.
3 minutes and then I'll move on.
All right, man. And on that note,
drinking some fine wine.
Cheers. Till next time.
I don't really know I'm coming kicking down the door. Oh my God, we just did Bandersnatch. Coming on, grab a bitch
on
right
the
by
podcast.
Yeah, like
It's
the
the Shuttle.
motherfucking president. Coming through, setting fucking precedent. Ooh, yeah, got the dopest podcast. Yeah, I'm the god. Why ask? Yeah.
Why ask it? Whether or not I go left, or whether or not I go right.
Black mirror.
Free will isn't right.
Black mirror.
Free will is a fight.
Black mirror.
Free will is your life.
Black mirror. That's a real black mirror. I'ma come through right clearer. I'ma come through get motherfucking
Nearer
than you ever did before. Motherfucker, close the
Door.
door.